Hey guys, welcome back to another Unity video. Today we're gonna make a explosion with like a C4, so you can plant the bomb and then blow it up with a different button. So I'm just gonna make a new project. Let's make it sure it's 3D. Let's call it Explosion CG Smoothie Tutorial. And create. Now let's just wait 7 years for Unity to open up. Okay, so it finally finished loading. So let's start off with a first-person controller, which if you don't have one already, just check this tutorial that I made right here in the eye in the top right corner. But since I already have a script, I'm gonna make a capsule and then just attach the two scripts I need. Also make sure you generate the lighting or else you get weird lighting like that, and the generated lighting works fine for our project. There we go. So I'm gonna make a first-person controller. I'll see you when I'm done. Alright, so I've imported my Bean FPS controller with a capsule, with a player movement script, a character controller, a camera, and a ground check object. So now let's just add a ground object. Let's make it a cube, bring it down about -1.5. Let's scale it out on the X and Y about 10 both, or no, X and Z. This isn't Blender, folks. Okay, so actually let's make it about 20 on each side. Okay, that looks good. Let's give it a little material. So I have just this asset I'm gonna use. It's just a tile asset, so I'm just gonna make like it's just a square, but that'll help us so we can see that we're like moving around, because it's hard to see with this lighting. So yeah. Alright, let's see if mine works. It does. It looks pretty good. I do need to make my ground object a ground layer object because I have a jump that requires it to be on a ground layer. There we go. Works. Now we're gonna add some other cubes just to work as like explodable objects. So let's do that really quick. To duplicate it, just do Control D a bunch. So Control D, Control D, Control D, Control D. I think, oh, I did way too many of that last time. Control D. There we go. 5 is good. Let's do one more. For the goofs and the gaffs. Let's make those red. Just so we can easily tell what's what. Boom, 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 boom. And give them each, let's give them all, let's call them boxes. Box. And let's give them rigid bodies. So they should all fall now. They do. I have another cube there, which shouldn't be there. I guess I have 2 boxes there. Alright, so we have all of our boxes. We have this. Let's make one more box. Let's duplicate this one. Bring it here. Scale it out on the x-axis twice. So make it ×2. And 0.5 on the y-axis. And we'll call this one C4. Let's drag that into the assets folder. That's now going to be a prefab, and let's also give it a different material so that it stands out when we use it in our script. I'll give it a blue material. There. That'll help us see what is going on. Alright, so we have our boxes, we have our C4. It's time to get scripting. So we're going to add a empty next to our camera. And let's call this explosion object. And let's add a component and call it C4 explosions. Now let's wait for Visual Studio to open. Alright, so Visual Studio is open. So let's, in the beginning, let's establish some variables. Let's get public game object C4 prefab public float explosion power explosion radius explosion range explosion timer. Let's make a public camera FPS cam public, no, just a game object C4 instantiation, a bool C4 is primed. Alright, so let's do in void update if input dot get mouse button down. Zero. Let's have it debug dot log spawning C4. Now let's check if that works. So, explosion, let's open up our Unity, and let's go, if we click, it should say spawning C4 with our left mouse button. It should say that. Okay. Now, actually, no. Let's do input dot get button down. This way's easier. Fire 1. There we go. Should still do the exact same thing, but this way we can configure our thing in the editor. Okay. While we're here, might as well set our C4 prefab and our FPS camera. So, yeah. Let's set this to 200, the radius to 10, the range to 100, and the timer to 5. Alright, back to Visual Studio. Let's do that, and then raycast hit dot hit, no, raycast hit if physics dot raycast fps cam dot transform dot position fps cam dot transform dot forward out hit range. No, explosion range. That should work. No. Now we do brackets. Instantiate C for prefab at. So this will do. It'll spawn the prefab. Hit dot point, I think. Quaternion dot because we want it to go up a little bit so it doesn't have any errors when spawning. like so it doesn't collide with the ground and get stuck or anything. So new vector3 hit.point.x hit.point.y hit.point.z, and let's do hit.point.y plus 1, and then fpscam.transform.rotation. So now that we've done that, let's try the script. So if with luck it should spawn the C4 where we click. It'll do it as many times as we want, which we don't want it to do that. We want it to spawn only once unless it's disappeared when we explode it. So I mean, this is fun though. Let's go back into the script. Well, first, let's just make it a little easier on us so we can find out where we're hitting. So let's make a canvas, and we'll make an image inside of that canvas, and let's pick knob. Let's set its native size. Let's scale it in. 0.5, 0.5. Let's make this pixel perfect and scale with screen size. Maybe make this back to 111 because it's now scaling with the screen size. Let's make it red and alpha of 150, 100. Let's see now if this helps us. It gives us better of an idea of where we're spawning it. So yeah, that's good. Let's go back into our script and let's say, let's call this C4 instantiation equals game object dot instantiate. Then we'll do C4 instantiation dot name equals C4, and C4 is primed equals true. At start, let's make C4 is primed equal false. All right, so let's also make this so it'll say if input.getButton down fire 1 and capital G game object dot find C4 equals false. No, not false. So this is basically saying if you hit the mouse button and in the scene there is no object called C4. So now that we've done this and we've named it C4, when we click again in the script, now it should only spawn 1. Yep, only spawns 1. So now we can go C4 is primed equals true. If input.getButton down fire 2 physics dot overlap sphere C4 instantiation dot transform dot position, then explosion radius, and let's make this go into an array called collider array hit colliders equals that. Now it'll say, we gotta do a colon for each collider, var collider or hit collider in hit colliders if hit collider dot get component rigid body doesn't equal null, then we'll just copy this hit collider dot transform dot get component dot add force hit collider dot transform dot position minus C4 instantiation dot transform dot position times explosion power plus hit collider dot transform dot up times explosion power times 2f. So now let's try this. It should, when we right click, now add a force up and to the opposite direction of this. Of course, now the C4 itself also flies up because it is a collider that it can hit with its own sphere. And that's not good. So let's make it so that when you do this, let's do destroy C4 instantiation, and then C4 is primed equals false. Now let's try this again. Right or left click, it spawns, right click, everything shoots off. That's pretty good. So let's now make it so it can also just have a timer. So let's add a timer to our C4. Let's go in here, create 3D object, text mesh pro, import TMP essentials, and let's wait. All right, that was very quick, but for you it might have been longer. So let's rotate this 90 degrees on the X. Let's scale this in. This is just going to display the timer. So, boom. And then we'll have it say timer 00.00.00. Let's shrink that a little bit. Make this center and center. Okay. So now, let's make it so that the timer counts down. So C4 is primed equals false, and explosion timer dot equals 5f. In between fire 1 and fire 2, let's do if C4 is primed equals true, explosion timer minus equals time dot delta time equals true. So that'll make it so if it's primed, the timer will go down. And then we'll also make a, let's put using TMP Pro. So now we just put this in Unity. Let's call this timer text and copy its name, just so we know we're getting the right. Just so we know we're getting the right one. So C4 instantiation dot transform dot find in parentheses or in quotation marks the text. Wait, no, that's not its text. We called it timer. Timer text. So find the timer text dot get component text mesh pro dot text equals timer 00.0 plus explosion timer dot toString here. We're gonna put F2 in quotes. F2. Let's make sure that after it explodes, explosion timer equals 5F. That should be it. Alrighty. So, just to make sure we did it, the timer counts down, and once it does, oh, we didn't do it correctly, folks. We have to make sure that in the explosion it says if input.get button down fire 2, or, and you use the two little straight lines above enter for or, explosion timer is less than or equal to 0F. Now let's try. If the timer is less than 0F, it should explode. Bam! Everything explodes, it's gone, and we can spawn another one. We cannot spawn another one while it's going off. And that's basically it for this tutorial. I might do more parts for this tutorial, like how you can make an explosion particle effect, and how you can make throwable bombs with like reuse of this script, as well as how to model both the throwable bomb and the C4. So let me know if you guys like this tutorial, and if you did, I will make those different parts. And yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!